Hello, thanks for joining me for this special fire weather briefing update. I'm David Church with the National Weather Service office in Salt Lake City, Utah. Today is Friday, June 26, 2026. So jumping right into it, key points for this have not changed too much from yesterday. Still a major to extreme fire weather risk for today into Saturday, and that is from the combination of really strong winds, low humidity, and expected extremely poor overnight recoveries tonight into Saturday, where some portions of southeastern Utah may see 30 plus hours of continuous critical fire weather conditions. The changes from the previous briefing are that the major fire weather risk was upgraded to an extreme risk for some portions of southwest Utah, including the Cottonwood Fire, and we'll detail that more here shortly. Along with that, a particularly dangerous situation red flag warning is now in effect as well for today in portions of southwest Utah, including that Cottonwood Fire. And finally, the red flag warnings are also extended into Sunday for portions of southeastern Utah where the wind and low humidity will linger a bit longer. So, looking at the current situation, there are still multiple large wildfires burning across the state, along with a handful of additional fire starts over the last 24 hours. Looking at lightning over the last 48 hours, that's going to be a concern for the potential for new holdover starts picking up as the conditions become dry and windy both today and tomorrow. You see on the left-hand side quite a variety of lightning, especially across west central Utah and up into northern Utah, but even elsewhere, even into eastern Utah. So that will be a concern as well as things dry out and become windy and low humidity today and tomorrow across the state. And there was precipitation with that. However, you'll see most of the state did not receive a wetting rainfall of a tenth of an inch or more. And so any pockets of wetting rain have been pretty isolated to this point. The Storm Prediction Center has most of southwestern into central Utah outlooked in an extremely critical fire weather risk today. We also see that risk shifts a little bit more east and southeast tomorrow, with some improvement over far northern Utah, where we'll start to see the influence of a cold front moving in. Coinciding with that, red flag warnings remain in effect for much of the state of Utah for Friday and Saturday. And you'll actually see in the outlined area across southeastern Utah that those red flag warnings actually extend all the way through Sunday now. And that is where conditions will linger the longest with strong winds and low relative humidity. A particularly dangerous situation red flag warning has been issued for this portion of southwestern Utah in the purple outline here. You'll see that that includes locations such as Cedar City, Beaver, Utah, Junction, Marysvale, Richfield, and particularly the Cottonwood Fire here right in the middle. This particularly dangerous situation is a very rare issuance. These are only issued for the largest fire weather days where we have a really critical combination of very strong winds, very low relative humidity. We also have the presence of an ongoing wildfire, and there is potential for public safety shutoffs in coordination with Rocky Mountain Power. So there's many factors coming together here to create this a dangerous situation. The main thing to know if you're in this area is to have an evacuation route in mind and be ready to receive alerts from your local officials if there's any evacuation orders issued. So the major risk for critical fire weather conditions is in place for much of the state of Utah here today and into Saturday. We do have that area I just mentioned for the particularly dangerous situation red flag warning where we do have this localized extreme fire weather risk, and this does include the Cottonwood Fire. Looking at the winds here today, the sustained winds on the left and gusts on the right uh, are going to be a little bit more concentrated across western Utah today. We do see the potential for some isolated wind gusts, 50 to 55 across southwest Utah, somewhat coincident with the area where the particularly dangerous situation red flag warning is in effect. If we skip ahead to tomorrow, we see those winds will start to shift more east into eastern and southeastern Utah, with the isolated gusts of 50 to 55 moving a little further east tomorrow. Relative humidity wise, we saw those really low relative humidities this morning across southwest Utah becoming very widespread through the day today. Lowest RH values that we're expected to see are around 5, 6, 7% across the state today. And as we go into today, tomorrow, we'll actually see first here on the left-hand side, these are the maximum relative humidity values. So these are the highest relative humidity values we're expecting to see overnight tonight, and particularly this area in southern and eastern Utah, there's potential for 30 plus hours of continuous red flag conditions where the relative humidity may not rise above 15 to 20% overnight tonight, and then will remain very low in around 10% or less in that same area tomorrow. So boiling that down to a weather risk, the fire weather risk here on the left is for today. On Friday, you see these areas of embedded extreme risk across portions of southwestern Utah today. And we do see some improvement across especially northern and western Utah tomorrow as the humidity starts to rise. However, we will still see those gusty winds, so we won't be completely in the clear yet. We also see that area of higher risk shifts into southeastern Utah on Saturday. Looking ahead at the next 7 days, unfortunately, not a lot of good news here. The one thing that we do see is that cold front bringing improved conditions across northern Utah from Sunday through about the middle of next week. However, as we look for central southern Utah, we do see that those conditions with critical fire weather conditions remain pretty much through the week ahead, although moderating to more minor or typical variety and not such the extreme conditions that we're seeing this weekend. It does look like the potential for another storm system moving in late next week, and we do start to see those critical fire weather conditions spread north back into northern Utah by Thursday, potentially. So to sum it up here, quickly, major to extreme risk of critical fire weather conditions Friday and Saturday due to multiple large wildfires, recent lightning, and followed by very dry and windy conditions. So just remember, there's potential for rapid wildfire spread, especially if you're in the particularly dangerous situation area in southwestern Utah. Know your evacuation route. Be prepared to receive any warnings from local officials, especially evacuation notices, and just be ready to go in case any wildfires do spread rapidly and approach your location. That's all I have. Thanks for joining me.